people ask me why I decided to write a book on arthritis. You see, a couple of years ago, I developed pain and swelling in one of my fingers, and it was after a period of a lot of stress. And I realized I also had digestive symptoms, and at first I sort of ignored it. And you might relate to that because a lot of people ignore sort of bothersome little symptoms that aren't that bad. But one day I realized that if I didn't pay attention to this and do something about it, I was going to end up with full-blown arthritis, perhaps even rheumatoid arthritis, which is in my family. And I realized, guess what, Susan? You better do the program you've been doing with all your patients and reverse this thing before it gets away from you and gets much worse. And that's what I did. I followed the same program that I use with all my patients successfully, and I reversed my arthritis. And this is really what inspired me to write the book now, to get the word out that you do not need to just watch something get worse. You don't need to just take medications to put out the symptoms. You really can treat the root cause and reverse it permanently, which is what I did and what I share with you in the book. And so, how do you know if you have arthritis? So arthritis is an itis, which means it's inflammation. What does the word inflammation mean? Inflammation is when there's chemicals that are zipping around your body causing irritation. If it's on the inside of your body, you might not be aware of it, but it could cause sluggishness in your bowels. It could cause inflammation in your fat cells, which makes you gain weight. I mean, there's all sorts of things that inflammation can do inside the body that you don't see. But when it comes to the joints, you can see inflammation. It's redness, pain, swelling, and heat. That's the definition of inflammation, and that's the definition of arthritis. So if you have a little bit of joint pain, if joints feel creaky or stiff or sore, but there's no redness that you see and there's no swelling, that's called an arthralgia. That is not arthritis. So true arthritis does require that there's redness and swelling and pain and usually heat as well. If you have any of those symptoms, you should definitely go see your doctor because you want to know what kind of arthritis you have. I outline this in my book so you can get a better grasp of what arthritis is so that you can treat it. Arthritis has become a 21st century epidemic. It affects younger and younger people. Now approximately 30% of adults aged 45 to 64, and that's right in that baby boomer middle age group, have doctor-diagnosed arthritis, which is very significant. This is not your grandma's arthritis anymore. It is inflammatory, it is affected by the environment around us, things like the food you're eating, things like your gut health, and not just because of aging. This book is very relevant for every age group for that reason. So remember, there is a lot you can do to reduce the inflammation in your joints, and it all starts with reducing inflammation in your body. Conventional medicine approaches arthritis with medication to basically put out the fire. I think of arthritis and inflammation like fire, right? A fire burning. And you can use a fire hose, which is strong medication to sort of shut the fire down. But the problem is if you don't figure out what's starting the fires in the first place, those fires are going to keep coming back. Functional medicine, on the other hand, looks for where all those sources of the fire might be coming from, such as food and your gut and stress and those things I talk about in the book. Therefore, conventional medicine is only a temporary fix, whereas for the long-term full reversal and permanent cure, you must work with a functional medicine approach in order to treat those root causes where the fire's beginning. Now, don't get me wrong, the two are meant to work together. While you're busy working with your conventional doc to take care of like the acute pain and the fire in this moment, you also need to be working on the functional medicine approach to treat those causes of where all the fires are beginning. And together, as a team, you will get better and you will be able to reverse the arthritis permanently. So many people ask me, how is gut health related to arthritis? And in fact, some people with arthritis don't even have digestive symptoms, so they don't understand how that could possibly be connected. But here's the thing. For the past 5 to 10 years, the evidence has been accumulating, and it's quite overwhelming actually, about the importance of the health of the gut. And when I talk about a healthy gut, I mean the gut microbiome, which are those 100 trillion bacteria that help us, that support the immune system, that keep our inflammation low, that keep our gut healthy. Imbalances in the gut flora, or the gut microbiome, there's many different names for it, can cause damage to the intestinal lining and cause a condition called leaky gut. And a leaky gut causes system-wide inflammation that ends up in the joints, and you develop arthritis. That's what we call the gut-arthritis connection. And what's really important to remember is that it works the other way. So treating the gut, fixing the microbiome, healing the intestinal lining will then reduce the inflammation and reverse the arthritis. And that's exactly what we're doing in the 3-step program in my book, Healing Arthritis. In our current model of healthcare, we have divided arthritis up into many different diseases and names in order to figure out how to treat you. This is the way conventional medicine works. We need a diagnosis so that we can pick the drug that will treat you the best. It's very heavily relies then on knowing what kind of arthritis you have. This is called, we like to call this downstream medicine, right? At the end of the river, we're finding out what your problems are and we're giving you medication to fix it, to actually treat the symptoms only. Instead, using functional medicine, we go upstream, where everything begins, right? So if you imagine a river coming down from the mountain, it starts up in the mountain and then it ends in the ocean, right? Way downstream, there's nothing you can really do to change the course. But if you head upstream to where everything begins, you can actually treat arthritis at the root. And so using functional medicine, we go upstream to find the root causes of your arthritis. And it turns out that no matter what kind of arthritis you have, there are common root causes for all of them. And that's why we can write one book that approaches all types of arthritis by seeking and finding out all the imbalances in the body that are triggering inflammation and treating those. However, I will say that in the book, there is a chapter dedicated to each kind of arthritis because there are some nuances that are a little bit different for each one. So for example, if you have rheumatoid arthritis, you will definitely find some very specific information and guidelines for rheumatoid arthritis. But the common approach for working with food and using food as medicine, for healing the gut, and for looking at stress and balancing your stress hormones, addressing those things in the 3-step program is going to reduce inflammation, that is going to reduce pain and swelling and inflammation in the joints no matter what type of arthritis you have. Here's my number one piece of advice for people with arthritis. Arthritis is reversible. I want you to know that. I want you to know there's hope. I want you to know that there is something else you can do instead of just taking medication that might only be barely controlling your symptoms, and that you can find a way to live pain-free by treating the root causes of the inflammation. I want you to know that you can heal your arthritis. It can be reversed. You just need to find and treat all the root causes of the inflammation and you will get better.